from the Motor City of Detroit, Michigan, and his professional record, 29 victories, 21 KOs, against only 2 defeats. Ladies and gentlemen, he is the #1 ranked contender in the world, Thomas Big Dog Tate. And his opponent across the ring, fighting out of the blue corner, wearing the black trunks with gold trim, he weighs an even 159 pounds. This 1988 Olympic silver medalist from Pensacola, Florida, is undefeated with a record of 25-0, 22 KOs. Ladies and gentlemen, presenting the undefeated IBF middleweight champion of the world, Roy Jones Jr.
Shake it loose. Come on. You got to all be loose. Come on. Shake it loose. You got to take this shit, dog. You got to take it. Shake loose, baby. Shake loose. Shake loose. Shake loose, dog.
Okay, I spoke to both fighters in the dressing room. I'm cautioning again, obey my commands at all times. Shake, gloves, and good luck.
Shake loose, dog. Dog time, baby.
All right, we're ready to go. Obviously, Thomas Tate trying to bait Roy Jones Jr. to start this one, but Roy Jones Jr. really didn't mess with that too much.
They don't even want to go back to their corners. Roy Jones showing disdain for the annex of Thomas Tate.
And we begin round 1. What do you look for early, Al?
I think Roy Jones wants to box Tate. He wants to move on him and counter-punch him. That's what he told me when I interviewed him earlier this week, and I think that's what we're going to see. Though he's getting some good counter right hands in already. The hand speed of Jones is the big difference here, and what it would figure to be. Thomas Tate is not a huge puncher, but they feel, he and his camp and Mustafa Muhammad feel, Jones hasn't really been tested much by anybody as a puncher. Bernard Hopkins was a good puncher, but couldn't really land effectively against Jones.
Jones has 5 career first-round knockouts. Tate with 3. And right now, Jones unleashing with that right hand.
And I think he hurt Thomas Tate with that.
Yeah, that back leg, that right leg of Tate wobbling.
Well, posturing notwithstanding, this has been a great first round for Jones, and not such a good one for Thomas Tate.
You know, you can talk about your opponent a lot. Jones blocking those punches as Tate did, but when you finally get hit by him, it's a different story.
Yeah, you got to produce in the ring, and the hand speed of Jones giving Tate lots of problems. Even when Jones is against the ropes in the corner, which is not a place Roy Jones normally wants to be. The hand speed, and you can see it really makes a huge difference in this fight.
Well, left hand scored. There's an uppercut as well by Roy Jones Jr. in the black trunks, and another one.
Now, Thomas Tate stood up to the punching power of Julian Jackson, who was at that time very much a big puncher in this division. And so far, despite being hit with big punches in this first round, he stood up to the power of Jones, though being dominated this first round.
That's been all Roy Jones Jr. in the black trunks.
And I want to point something out right now. Roy Jones Jr. has a history of fading a bit in fights. In other words, even against Hopkins in the later rounds, he wasn't that effective. So I'm sure Tate is thinking, if I can get through this early barrage, I can still get something done against this guy. So we shouldn't count Tate out early, despite the fact that he is getting rocked with some pretty big punches.
Closing seconds of this first round. The first title defense for Roy Jones Jr.
Tell you what, though, Jones is showing a better arsenal of punches and a better variety than I have ever seen from him as a pro.
Left hand has worked effectively along with the right. Now that is the end of round 1. Tate says you didn't hurt me. But Jones has the scorecard.
Good job, baby. Look, don't get too quick. You got that. You got that. You got to stay down. Don't go one down a little bit more. Don't play. I'll set you with a strong shot, okay? I'll tap a little bit.
Early in the round, Roy Jones got in the right hand against Tate and got it in repeatedly, using the jab to set it up, and that's why he used that jab. Perfect 1-2 combinations. Then later on in the round, it will be a different weapon. It will be the hooks and the uppercuts by Jones. And what all this does is demonstrate what a good variety of punches Roy Jones has used.
Round 2 underway.
And interestingly, only 18 of Jones' 96 punches in round 1 were.
Oh, and down goes Tate.
Wow.
Goes an inside left. He's on the corner rope standing. Richard Steele with the count. Oh, and Tate. That's it. His corner comes out and stops it. And Roy Jones Jr. does a dance early in round 2. His 6th career second-round knockout. Tate just walked right into that inside left.
We talked about the variety of punches by Roy Jones. Now, he's not known as a devastating left hook artist. More power probably in the right hand. But he was able to crank up the hook, land uppercuts, and do everything necessary. And here's what's significant about this victory. The fact is, no one else has knocked Thomas Tate out before. And he's been in there against the likes of Julian Jackson and has not been sent down. So this is significant, and it shows the kind of power that Roy Jones wanted to show to send a message to some of the other good middleweights.
23rd knockout, and they have Thomas Tate seated right above us. Smart move, they got him on a stool. And right now, his handlers in inside position, taking a close look at him. Take your time, no need to rush it. Roy Jones Jr. puts back on that IBF middleweight championship belt. His first title defense was awesome.
11.
Well, an interesting start to round 2. Roy Jones Jr. just pummeling Thomas Tate.
And the interesting thing is, the hand speed of Jones was just too much. And we'll take a look at the end of this bout.
Yeah, let's watch the replay. I didn't even know what the hell you hit him with.
The good left hand on the inside with a hook by Roy Jones Jr. And you know, you don't usually land a left hook like that from the outside, Bob, but Jones was able to do that. Here it is from the outside. I mean, you don't normally land a lunging left hook like that and get it in that fashion. But boy, it landed with a lot of authority.
Yeah, Tate was leaning, too.
Boom. Wow. Looked a little bit like Floyd Patterson in the old days. Remember when he used to kind of jump out there with that hook?
Also a Joe Frazier hook that hurt Muhammad Ali at Madison Square Garden in their first fight. Let's take a look. Eddie Mustafa Muhammad comes running right above us to stop this thing.
He realized that Thomas Tate was in huge trouble, and you would have to assume Richard Steele was thinking about stopping it anyway. Eddie Mustafa Muhammad says, Just for a moment, Thomas Tate was distressed, but it was, as you see his legs wobble, you know that Thomas Tate did not want anything to do with it. And for Roy Jones Jr., this would be a dance step that Don Cornelius would be proud to put on his show.
He looked like Hammer doing a little gallop there.
He did indeed.
And Thomas Tate was immediately put down on the stool at that point. Roy Jones Jr. celebrates win number 26, his 23rd knockout in very, very impressive style. Number 1. Now we take you up to our ring announcer, Michael Buffer.